Hey guys, how's it going? A friend of mine asked me to take a look at his generator. He's a neighbor of mine. And good friend, older gentleman, that the generator sat for, I don't know, a year or two. And of course it got, used for a storm, put away, fuel wasn't taken out of it. He went to go and, make sure everything was all right with it. And unfortunately, when he went to go pull on the pull start, that's what he had. So his son, he asked his son to go take a look at it, and he took the oil drain plug, fill plug rather, out of it. And when he did that, a bunch of oil came gushing out of the machine, which essentially is not just oil. It's more than likely was oil and gas. What happens is something happens in the float of the carburetor. The gas leaks past, especially if the pet wasn't shut off. It's in the on position right now. It leaks past the float. It slowly goes into the cylinder, gets past the piston, fills up the crankcase, the oil level comes up, and more than likely that is what has happened with that. So it will have a carburetor issue, but at the same token it actually has a problem with the fact that you cannot turn it over. It's seized up. So I told him pull the plug out of it, throw some any of the penetrants that are good for breaking up rust in it. I'm not sure what he used, but he put something down inside there to see if it would help free it up. That was about 3 or 4 days ago. Still has the same issue. So I figure we'll turn the camera on. We'll see if we can get this guy to come back to life and see what it takes to do that. So without further ado, leave the camera set up on the stand and let's start getting into it. So my guess and my feeling is what's happening is there is crud, rust, debris of some sort where the piston is probably trying to rise upward, but it's hitting a wall of crud around where the rings are, and it just can't get past that. So a lot of times what you can do, if you can turn the crank the other direction and have the piston draw backwards, and then you can kind of work where the ring of crud is free, then you can get past it. But unfortunately with the pull start, you can only turn it one direction. So what we're going to go try and do is take the pull start off, see if there's a nut back here, and see if we can spin the crank the other direction. I didn't see anything on the other side of the generator head that would allow us to access it. So we're going to attempt to grab it from this side. Yeah, we got a nut down there. So right now we're going in the clockwise direction. So let's see if we can just go in the counterclockwise direction. The nut's going to back off. Let's go see if maybe we can get a big screwdriver to go through these holes and see if we can kind of work it backwards a little bit. It already has, the plug's out of it and already has fluid squirted down in it. So let's see if we can get in there with something. Can we get two? There we go. Yeah. And that's where you can kind of feel where it's hitting. It's already gone past it. I don't know if it's shooting any crap out of the plug hole. Yeah. I am going to go take a thin oil and put it down the plug hole anyway. And we're gonna, maybe we'll try getting the drill set up on that with no plug in it, no compression. We should be able to spin it over. And let's kind of wash that cylinder a little. But I got some, I think it's automatic transmission fluid. Let's go give that a little. Make sure it's coming out. Yeah. All right, we're gonna go. We just kind of let that wash the walls a little. Again, it wasn't stuck very hard. I didn't even expect it to be. But sometimes you just got to back it up and clean out the path. There we go. Let that sit for a minute. I'm going to get set up with a drill so we can spin it. Hey, let's see if this will work for us. Eesh, don't let off the trigger that easy. You see that I was trying to grab the camera and show you the puffiness coming out of it. Come on, drill. See, now I knock it out of drill. Let's put it in low. that part of it should be fine. And again, usually if something just seizes from sitting, you have, I'd say 90% success rate. If something seized up while it's running, it's probably a 0% success rate, or you get it to free up, but whatever it's seized up for, unless it got so hot that the cylinder walls bound up on the piston and it relaxed. But if it's seized up from scoring, it's pretty much junk. So that's why you can see I didn't bother taking it off the truck, because I pretty much felt that it was going to come back. All right, let's get into, actually we should probably see if it had spark. Make sure it is in the run position. It is. You guys may have been looking at that plug arcing away, but let's go see. It might have a low oil shutoff, which will make it so it won't have spark if it doesn't. But let's see what we got. Yeah, it's got spark, so that should be okay. And the next thing I want to look into is that carb. Get the air filter out. Sometimes the air filter could have gotten polluted too from the fuel. Let's see what we get. Not too bad. Ooh, it does smell though. Oof. Yeah, she's kind of ripe. And judging by the looks of it, it's been doing that for a little while. I'm gonna get these two screws off and get the air cleaner housing out of the way, and get to the float ball. That carb's gonna have to come off and get cleaned. You could actually see where the fuel was kind of coming in and deteriorating some of the bottom of the air cleaner, and the fuel that went bad. That's what all that is. And this smells the high heaven right now too. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera or not, but around that choke plate down in there, it's real nasty. We'll get it off, we'll probably get a better view, but it's definitely got some, like I say, people tell you it's been a year. I think in their mind they feel it actually is a year. Is that fuel off? That fuel is off now. In their mind they think it's a year, but you know, meanwhile 5 years goes by, 10 years goes by, sometimes 30 years goes by. So let's see, we have to get that throttle, that throttle shaft off of there before we do anything. Okay, so the problem I'm having with it right now is the throttle. That's choke. Throttle's up here. The gasket out of the way. Throttle's up here, and the throttle is stuck wide open, and I cannot turn it. I cannot turn it because, again, the varnish has probably got it so frozen into place that I can't move it. But it needs to go to the idle position to be able to get the rod out of the holder. It would have to get bent like that, and then I can pop it out. So I don't want to damage that. I'm going to end up having to take the governor shaft off right back in there to be able to get maybe the whole assembly out at one point. And I'm going to mark that spring. So it's got different holes there. Not sure if it's showing. Different holes for the spring. I'm going to hit that with a Sharpie, just mark that so we get that spring back on the correct one. And there's only one hole up here for this one. So let's get to that, and I should be able to get that carburetor out of there, and then we'll get it apart and see if it's worth saving. I took that bolt completely out, the governor arm. We'll see if we can get that arm right off of there, and the spring's off too. There we go. That's that guy. And now we should be able to pull the assembly out of the way. There we go. Hold on. So that's what we got. The rod, that spring was on that hole. Remember, we're on the outside of that one. I should probably take the Sharpie and mark that real quick, because we're not going to soak that. That's not going to matter. We're not going to hurt that wherever the Sharpie is. All right. Right there. So we'll mark that one. And we're going to go to see about getting that guy out of there now. I'm rotating it so that it lines up. I should lift that out. I should lift the little tension spring off there. Here we go. Okay, so that's stuck at full throttle. Again, it's plastic, so I don't want to kill it. Yeah, it's froze. We go on the bench, we'll go take that float bowl off, see what it looks like, and then the ultrasonic cleaner is already heating up. But I have a feeling it's going to look something like that. Fortunately, that one still turns though. Let's see what we get. So that's a drain right there. But generally, nobody uses them. And they're kind of hard to get to too. Yeah, it's definitely got its issues. So that's what happened. The float's stuck. The needle and seat is stuck. It's moving now. And it allowed just the float to fill up and over and just dump right into the carb. It went down the intake, went in the cylinder, went past the rings, and filled up the oil. Okay. I'm probably going to go grab that with a pair of needle nose. Is it moving? I'm going to grab that with a pair of needle nose and see if we can work that up and out of there. And this thing stinks. Ugh. What was that? What did I just launch? Oh, I pushed the plastic piece off the bench. That's what I launched. I'm thinking that maybe I might leave that alone and throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner the way it is and see possibly if it'll help free itself up. I have a feeling if I force it, it's going to break off. And if I do that, I might as well just get another carburetor. But I want to grab the idle circuit jet. We can get that out of it now. So that's the idle stop. You got to take that out of the way first. And it'll allow you to get down to where the jet is. And lift up on that guy. There it goes. And there was one on the side. We'll probably take that one out if we take the safety plug out of it, off of it. Never seen it in that location before. I might have a slot in it. It does. We're gonna need a thinner screwdriver though. Alright, when we get that guy in the cleaner, let it do its thing for a little bit, see how well it comes back. Alright, fresh out of the cleaner. She's a tad hot. Well, that was easy. There we go. I sure beat forcing it. Whether it's any good, it's a different story. So the next thing is we need to see if we can get the emulsion tube out of it. I would have a feeling that that guy actually worked out pretty good. Again, you kind of want to avoid having the jets, the rubber parts rather, in the fluid, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, right? You still see a bunch of crap around that needs to get cleaned off. And does our throttle move? What's our throttle? This is our throttle. That is still frozen. Oh, there it goes. Kinda. It should come back. And let's see if we can punch out the center tube. There it goes. That's what I was talking about. See how dirty that is still? So these are all fine little holes where the fuel gets drawn up through. It needs to be cleaned up. So we're going to go and probably throw that in a wire wheel. I'll get all the heavy stuff off and throw that back in the cleaner. So I threw actually everything back in the cleaner. I want to get the oil out of it. It's got a drain plug here, but it's not in a great spot. It wants to dump all over the frame. Yeah, this is giving me an issue. So I'm gonna tilt it right up over the pan I got here. Got a pan right down below it. And that is pretty much gas, straight gas coming out of her with a little bit of oil. Gonna let that do its thing. And that'll probably go into my gas recycling bin because it's mostly gas. And that'll get taken care of on hazardous waste day. And after the second time in the cleaner, it's looking much better. Now the fluid is able to kind of get down inside there, you know. The seal is swollen, and sometimes that happens. But it's literally still about 180 degrees right now, so we're going to let this thing cool down. It may shrink itself back, or we may have to try some other little tricks. Don't worry about that one. Don't worry about it. And these guys look much better. That looks a little better now, huh? And I'll blow everything out with air, reassemble it, and put it back on the machine. That's all back together. Let's see what we got. Choke. We have back in there somewhere. Throttle to the governor, and the governor pull the throttle all the way forward, and then you rotate the governor shaft all the way forward and you lock it down so it's in the correct window of where it needs to operate. Sometimes you have to tweak that later. I think we are good to go. I'm not going to put the air cleaner on because I need access to the fuel line. The tank's a mess, but I want to make sure that one, it has spark and one that it makes power, and two, that it runs okay, or vice versa. You know what I mean. We're going to make sure it runs and make sure it makes power before we get into anything else. That would be a waste. So I just put the two nuts back on there without the air cleaner, just to hold the carburetor all the way forward. And I think we'll take a piece of clear fuel line or some kind of fuel line. We'll just drape it up here, clamp it, fill it with fuel so it'll run off of that, and we'll just plug a drop light in on the side of it and give her a shot, see what happens. As long as it fires up and the engine sounds like good and the drop light works, then we can get more into the fixing the that. I think we're good to give it a go. Lights plugged in over there, should be on. The gas is filled up to, I think I'm filled up to here. We need choke. Choke's on. Breaker on. Yes, I put oil in it too. Someone's going to ask. I know they are. Yes, it's full of oil. Thanks for asking. I think it just ran out of gas. Yeah, used up the gas. I would say it stays still a piece of pile. It needs some more love. I'm not sure what I want to do with the gas tank. It runs, the light came on, that's good, and of course everything was so soaked in oil from the gas filling up the oil, and then the oil, filled up and flooded the top end in turn, so it pushed all that out of the muffler. I'm sure the muffler probably has some of it in it. Plus we squared it down. Alright. The governor works way better when you tighten the nut that is holding the governor to the carburetor. Yeah. It's hunting on me. Governor's working, but you can see how bad it's bouncing back and forth. So could be a couple of different things. One being that there's no idle circuit in this carburetor, and when it goes down there on the lower RPMs, it just falls on its face because there's nothing to give it fuel, and then it goes full throttle, recovers, and it's bouncing. Or our governor is off a little on its position of where it is in the window where it operates. So I'm going to go try tweaking that a little bit. So I'm going to go pop the air cleaner back on it and see if that affects what it's doing, which it could possibly be part of the issue. So I want to eliminate that. We'll still feed it fuel the way we're feeding it fuel. See what that does. The sun's starting to get us. Air cleaner's back on. Let's see what we get. Don't remember where choke is. Try it open. That might do it. a lot. Yeah, definitely the air cleaner had a lot to do with it. It was causing it to run lean. When I give it just a little bit of choke, it goes away. And then you saw I actually turned the choke all the way back off and it was staying steady. I think when this thing gets right up to temperature, when it runs for 15-20 minutes, it's going to run with the choke off, no problem. It's already there. And that, and sometimes when you put more of a load on it, it will calm down. So we're on to the gas tank. The gas tank, I don't think I want to get involved with. I just kind of was asked to see if I can get it unstuck. So I've gone much further past that. And I'd be honest with you, I just don't want to feel like dealing with all the crap that's in the tank. And the tank is really rusty. So you can just tell by the cap. Wind noise. Come on. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. How's that? Yeah, it's a two-handed job. Anyway, up the top of the tank is all rusty and there's big sludge sections going around it. Gas cap's cracked, doesn't screw down, goes round and round. So I'm gonna let him chase probably another tank down, or he has the option of putting an external tank just on that fuel line maybe when he needs it. That would probably be, especially if that tank is expensive. He looks on eBay or something and finds a tank for 30-40 bucks, fine. But if a tank's like $100, I'd probably get like a boat gas tank and set it up with a little primer bulb and put a quick connect on it, and when you're using it, use that. It'd be easier to go gas the tank up too. You can kind of go and just bring the tank and get it filled instead of having to fill the generator. Anyway, after all that's said and done, it works. It's no longer stuck. The oil's changed. And carb came back. I think he's good to go. I'd probably tell him to get an air filter too, because the bottom of it I knocked off once, went to dust. But other than that, seems like she should be a good goer. So with that, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here. If there's any more, I'll add it on. But I think we're taking this as far as we can. So again, hope you like wrenching in the garage or just outside the garage. And we'll do it again sometime. See ya.